So let's talk about Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 2. What exactly could we be seeing? How will they combat Vecna? Well, it seems that now there is a bigger, I would say, plan hatching than there was in Volume 1 when it first started. And of course, that has to do with our main character, Will, now, who seemingly is able to go toe-to-toe maybe with Vecna. Of course, he's going to need a little bit more help from the others because I think Vecna, Henry, whatever, is definitely going to be a tougher opponent now, especially at the end of Volume 1. Everybody seems to have been upgraded a bit, even the main villain itself. So Will, of course, is coming into this series as the boy who went missing. Vecna says the reason he was chosen was because he was weak, he was broken, easily made into an empty vessel that can be used in whatever way he wants, right? And now it seems that we are truly seeing that Will has decided, you know what? I'm not being the victim anymore. I'm going to go forth. I'm going to be that person that is going to be there for my friends and save them. And we clearly saw it at the end of Volume 1 when Will showcases that he indeed also possesses some sort of abilities. It's a bit different than Vecna. It's a bit different than 11, but still abilities nonetheless that are going to come useful in Volume 2, I feel, and the finale. So how exactly will they defeat Vecna? Well, I think that Will's powers are going to be great, but the problem here is that Will's never had powers before. And it took a lot for him to be able to even bring them forth at this point. We even saw that it resulted in him not really being able to continue with it. So I think that Will is definitely going to have to harness and sort of train with these powers a bit more before he can fully commit to them and go forth and defeat Vecna. Now, we also have 11, who is now pretty much in the know of what's going on here with Dr. K and all of that, with them having Callie. And I think that's going to be a big, crucial aspect of this fight against Vecna, is having Callie on her side as well to help her with this, but the kryptonite that's surrounding them of sorts is preventing that. So I think that's going to be the first thing that they have to address, is how to get rid of that so that they can really commit to their powers and go forth to help fight Vecna alongside Will. And yes, it sounds like this is going to be the big team that will take down Vecna in the end, alongside maybe some other children that come into play. But I think somebody like Vecna, it's not just that easy, right? So I said it in my ending explained that they're going to have a lot of different factors that have to come into play in order for them to be able to even make a dent into Vecna. And that is going to be not just defeating Vecna in a one-to-one battle from the outside, but having to destroy Vecna internally as well. And that's where we're going to see, I think, a crucial key to all of this, and that is going to be none other than Max. I think Max sort of being out at the end of Season 4 and pretty much most of Volume 1 is showcasing that she is serving up for a larger purpose. And this purpose is going to be interesting to see, because I think that Max being in mind of Vecna is crucial, because this is where you start sort of deteriorating Vecna down, beating it down, and ultimately making it vulnerable for an outside attack. Once you go in internally and are able to destroy Vecna there, I think it makes it a bit easier for the outside forces to come in, finish the job. And I think that's why Max being in this part of Vecna's mind that he doesn't want to venture into is interesting, because there's something in there truly that's eating away at Vecna that we don't know of just yet. Now, there was a play that sort of focused on Henry and his upbringing that was out. Now, we don't know exactly what happens in that. People have gone to see it and have talked about it. And I think that's going to be where the key is. And I think what's going on here is that we are truly seeing that Vecna is starting to realize that he has to put his plan in motion before it all comes crumbling down. We might see Vecna get desperate and ultimately lose grip of other sides of him and let his guard down. And Max could be there with Holly in order to intercept his mind of sorts, almost like Inception, you could say, and ultimately have him weaken down so that when it comes to Will, Callie, and Eleven coming through to fight, they are able to get in there and really wear down Vecna in a way we hadn't seen before. So that's definitely what I'm expecting here, but there's always a but. What if indeed Vecna isn't the big bad guy? There have been talks already and theories and rumors that maybe there is a bigger bad guy here in Hawkins and the Upside Down that could seemingly be controlling Vecna himself. I mean, Henry is indeed a bad guy, right? He is a villain of sorts, you could say. But what if Henry was sort of seduced by something else, something darker that we don't know of just yet, and that is what we're going to be seeing come out? What if, this is a theory of course, what if when Max intercepts his memories and finds more about Henry, we realize that Henry may be hiding in there himself because of what he has sort of been seduced by or brought into the darkness for. Henry himself was sort of like an experiment also, so it would make sense that he may not be acting on his own accord here, and we could actually see that there is something else darker looming that is consuming Henry and manipulating him and using him as a vessel, the same way that Vecna wants to use the vessels of other broken children around. What if indeed Vecna is more than just a villain? He is actually a victim. Of course, that doesn't justify anything that Vecna or Henry have done. It just is implying that there is a darker force out there. That's why I think it's going to take Max coming through and sort of trying to intercept all of this as well in order for them to really find out where the weakness is for whatever this entity is. And it's going to be crazy. I'm excited for volume 2 and I cannot wait, but I think that it's interesting to think of this theory where we're going to need Max to come in and internally destroy Vecna to put down all of those guards down in order for the group outside to be able to come forth and attack. And the Duffer brothers have already said in an interview that Callie, bringing her back, is definitely a big swing, and in volume 2 it's going to get crazy. Also, Will's powers are going to be different in volume 2 than what we saw in volume 1, so I think he's going to harness them and he's going to be able to do something that we didn't expect at all, and I think that's going to be interesting to see how that is going to play out in terms of the season. But I'm excited for it. I cannot wait. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Are you excited to see what Will's able to do with his powers? How do you think Vecna will be defeated? Do you think that Max is going to play an integral role in it? Like I said, Max was out for season 4, and by the end of it, we realized that she wasn't going to come back that soon. I think her part is going to be interesting also, how they're going to bring her back out of Vecna's mind once he's destroyed, because obviously they have to do something like that. And I wonder if that's going to be Eleven having to tap into her own powers as well. We know that with the power of music, anything can be done. I'm still holding out to see what's going to be that big song they're going to try and push, probably in volume 2. That sort of leads into the movie itself, is when we're going to get the huge cliffhanger. I thought volume 1's cliffhanger was great and all, don't get me wrong. It was cool to see Will totally go into his psychic powers and be able to use them, but I think for volume 2 we need something huge and big, and I think that is going to be realizing that Vecna himself is not the big bad you should be scared of. There's somebody else pulling the strings and is going to lead Vecna and Henry down this very, very dark path. So I'm excited to check all of that out in the coming weeks. We are a month away. We will have more theories. We'll probably get a trailer for this in the next couple of weeks as well, so I'm definitely excited for that. And one thing that I'm very curious, that I don't really know what this whole thing is the fleshy wall that of course we saw Steve and all of them find. How exactly does this work? Is this the wall inside maybe where they are keeping the children that Vecna's taking? And if that is the case, these children might be sort of where he draws his power and shields, so they probably have to get through that wall and ultimately take out whatever is inside of it and free the children. The children are key. And of course, at the end of volume 1, like I said, everybody got a power up, even Vecna, who was able to intercept these children. And I think that's definitely something that's going to have to be taken care of. I also wonder if Vecna's going to try and turn Will in some way. I did a video where we talked about that big theory that's been floating around, that maybe 11 was the one that was responsible for getting Will abducted. And that theory pretty much goes into maybe 11, when she was escaping Hawkins, saw Will as a sort of fall guy for her that could go and be the one that Vecna takes, and she could go free. And maybe Vecna knows this and will show it to Will, and this is what causes Will to sort of turn on them for a bit, and maybe that's what Vecna's going to use, so he gets scared of Will's power and realizes he has to get him on his side, or at least against them, in order for him not to work with them to take him down. So that could be something we see. We'll talk more about that in another theory in a couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. But very excited to talk Stranger Things with you. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions on volume 1, how it ended. Check out my ending explain, where we break break down more of that, and let me know your theories on who do you think is going to ultimately be the one that takes out Vecna. I think it definitely has to be 11, but I don't think it's going to be 11 on her own. It's definitely going to be her with some other people, and I am pumped to see all of this unfold. But as always, that is going to do it for me on the road to 50,000 subscribers. Let's get to it. Hit that subscribe button, notification bell. Let's get to that, and I'll see all of you next time. And as always, stay safe, stay positive.